Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. Salesforce and CNBC-TV18 present Small Business is Big Business, unlocking the SMB opportunity.
The success rate of startups in India has become a well-known concept in the business world. Trying to achieve extraordinary product speed without compromising the trait of the product is one of the key features of building a business with growth potential. Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18 and Salesforce present Small Business is Big Business, a series where we help enterprises reach their full potential by leveraging technology, resources, and their market potential. In today's webinar, we are going to decode how startups can accelerate product development and reduce time to market. How important is it to keep tabs on your competition? How can startups enhance customer experience and increase monetization? So in this first segment, we dive into an interesting fireside chat with Sneha Priya, the co-founder and CEO of SP Robotic Works, and Sanket Atal, SVP and MD of Sites at Salesforce India, where they are going to discuss how startups can build a rich customer experience, how businesses can maintain quality while delivering the product on time. Over to you, Sanket and Sneha.
Hi, Sneha. Hi, everybody. So Sneha, let us start with a little bit about SP Robotic Works, the space you play in and your business model.
Definitely. Thanks for the introduction. So SP Robotics is all about experiential learning. So that is what we excel in. So we are an experiential learning platform for the K-12 segment, basically. So when I say K-12, right from the age of 7-year-olds, all the way up to 17, we have a platform wherein they can come in and learn things in a practical manner. So every single product of ours involves something called the 3H principle. So involving the head, hand, and heart. So head for thinking, hand for making and doing stuffs, and heart for your feel. You should feel great about learning something. So that's the overall thought process in which every single product that we do is built. Today, we have products serving in the tech segment. That is, you name any tech out there, we would have a hardware, a kit, and a course that goes along with it. So, for example, robotics, drones, Internet of Things, virtual reality, AI, Android app. You name any tech out there, we would have a kit and a course right from the age of 7-year-olds, serving right from a younger age onwards. So that's what we do in our business. And the best part is we have a very Bharat model, we would call it, an India-focused model, where we understand that parents, want a blended learning model. It's not just the online space, but also an online-offline combination, where children can also collaborate, which is very important for children at that age. So we have people can always learn online, order the kit, get it delivered to their house, and start learning. The best part is all of our teaching is AI driven. So we, unlike other edtechs, we have a complete AI based teaching platform, which takes care of the entire journey a customer, goes through with us. So right from getting the kit to logging in, to learning, to interacting with our platform, everything is taken care by our AI driven teaching platform.
Sneha, as a follow-up, let's talk about customer experience. Like, how do you ensure that that's not compromised when so many of your processes and your business model itself is based on technology rather than people?
We leverage tech to ensure that we are able to take it to the next step, rather than wondering who to call today, who to approach today, and all of those sorts of stuff. We do the reverse. So we let people do their best task, which is convincing the children, which is serving what the children needs, etc., rather than doing the other basic tasks of who to call, when to call, what to call for, and those kind of stuffs. So we basically completely take care of the basic process that is required, the customer handling process as well as the sales process. Everything is completely automated, and people are here to do what they're best at. So we leverage both tech as well as human minds to a great extent in that manner. So right now, all of the processes and everything that we've laid is in such a way that if I come today, there are about, let's say, 150, 160 tasks that I have to complete and go. And when I say the tasks, all of those are machine driven. So when to call which customer, right from the time, right from the what is the goal that has to be conveyed to the customer over the call. All of that has been completely automated by our system today, and thanks to Salesforce for that.
Super interesting. With the changing customer and student expectations in the field of edtech, every day you hear news of yet another unicorn. What are some of the things you do to ensure rapid time to market with a total focus on quality?
Tech is changing every single day. The customer expectations are changing, especially we are in the segment of K-12. So just imagine every single child has a different expectation, and with the kind of exposure that they are given today, they completely change every moment. The expectations and what they want to do, everything changes every moment. So having said that, how we kind of keep track of all of these is based on the interaction that the child has with our AI platform and also the completion rates. So we've seen 90% completion rates with our students without any intervention from a human from our side. So that is how much we've been able to achieve, and all of this is based on a lot of feedbacks and a lot of touch points that we keep measuring with our every single student that goes through our platform. So just to give you an idea, let's say there's an example, there's a course on Android app coding. So when a child goes through that, we understand what the child's real interest is. Is it in, let's say, gardening, or is it in doing cars, car race and those kind of stuffs? What is the child really interested in? So all of those touch points are used to kind of give even the projects which are suggested, and the concepts that are taught using the projects, everything changes. So the AI kind of completely alters the course according to the customers or the child's interests and strengths. So this way, every child is motivated to kind of finish the course. So we've had 90% completion rates, which is completely unseen in the tech sector without the involvement of a teacher.
That's brilliant, Sneha. Thank you so much. Truly a lean startup, leveraging technology for better efficiency and amazing scale. Fantastic story. Thank you so much for the time. Ritu, back to you.
Thank you, Sanket and Sneha, for that insightful discussion. Sneha, of course, thank you for being here. Sanket, do stay on. Up next, we're going to have a special panel discussion that will do a deep dive into how startups can accelerate product development processes and reduce the time to market. On that note, let me welcome our panelists, starting with Rashid Khan, CPO and co-founder at Yellow.ai, Naganand Doraswamy, CEO, co-founder and MD at Idea Spring Capital, Sanjay Swamy, managing partner and co-founder at Prime Venture Partners, and of course, continuing with us, Sanket Atal, SVP and MD Sites at Salesforce India. Sanjay, let me start with you to set the context. Why should startups care about time to market to begin with?
Startups actually, time is everything for startups, right? Because you have a finite amount of capital, perhaps, but more importantly, for a startups, in their journey, in everything in the startup is very compressed, right? And what's important at all points in time is that you're making forward progress, and that you're in the early days validating your business model, validating your product, validating, what is the sub-segment of the customers where you're having maximum impact, what are the capabilities in the product that really appeal to that customer segment, and what is the messaging, what is the user experience, how do they quantify the success. So everything has to be done in as small a time period as possible before you start doubling down and trying to grow further in that particular segment. So product market fit, as we call it, is and establishing that in as short a window as possible is absolutely critical for any startup.
Rashid, let me bring you in. How is reducing time to market a part of product discovery?
Today, when we think about product building, and one of the key aspects is largely figuring out your product market fit, right? So anything which can help you fast track that is definitely appreciated. And over our journey of last 7 years, right, when we look at the different phases which we went through, I think the first few years, just having an immense focus on figuring out what is the problem are we solving, whom are we solving it for, right, and are we doing it the right way, right? I think those are the questions which we used to ask ourselves quite a lot. And I think those questions over a period of time has changed, right? Once you established a product market fit, once you established the right sort of persona whom you're going to sell into, I think the questions largely become how do you scale from there, right? I think a lot of startups in the industry today are facing those sort of questions, and in the whole aspect of product building, it is just being providing those right sort of inputs, right? So be it what kind of things customers are looking for, what is the market actually looking for, what are your competitors building, right? So I think over a period of time, that there's a massive change in terms of how we are feeding that back into our product discovery and the time to market.
Fair enough. Naganand, let's get you in as well. Again, speaking about reducing the time to market, how exactly does it improve customer satisfaction?
So when you say the customer is happy, when you deliver a product to the customer in the initial phases, obviously it doesn't have necessarily all the benefits that you claim it's going to give, or you think the customer needs something, but the customer actually wants something else. So I think this is a discovery phase that you go through, and hence it's getting that right and getting the initial set of capabilities and features in the product right, and then for that it's impossible to get it sitting in your office, right? You do develop the product based on certain inputs you have gotten from the customers, but we actually deliver the product is a different story when they actually start using it, because every customer will be different, their environment will be different, their requirements will be different, and your focus when you say you got time to market is you have got something that you can sell to more than one customer. It's very easy to develop a product and give it to one customer, but how does the scale to 10 to 25 to 50 to 100 and so on and so forth? That becomes very important. And most importantly, what is the usability for the customers, the experience for the customer, and the benefits they're getting. Hence all these things in the overall scheme of things become very important from the time to market, because time to market is just not developing the product, but getting the product ready to be scaled, right? So that is important, and customers play a very significant role in this, and getting their inputs becomes very, very critical.
Sanket, the next question is to you. Could you give us a cheat sheet, if you'd call it, or could you explain the various aspects of improving a product's time to market?
3 key elements to keep in mind when you're creating new products, whether it's new products, releases, or features. First and foremost, don't try to develop everything from scratch, right? While it might be cool, it is not the right thing to do. There are so many platforms available, so many APIs available on almost any area you'd like to focus on. Leverage them and focus on your core deliverables rather than trying to recreate everything. The other one I would say is, step back and truly understand what your company's core competencies are, what you can do and what you should use help for. Leveraging your strengths is a great strategy for traversing the road ahead in life and in your company. And finally, oftentimes I've seen in talking to startups that, it's perhaps not in the actual product development where the impediments are, but it's in how they run the company. So, for example, a lot of them still use Excel sheets to keep track of customers, right? There are lots of very interesting products available to automate almost all parts of running your company. So leverage those products, leverage those applications that are available. Don't try to recreate them. You're not in the market to recreate those things. You have your core competency, you have your goals, focus on those and automate everything else. The most important thing is you have to keep your eye on the prize and focus on your core competencies.
Okay, gentlemen, hold your thoughts. We have to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back in just a moment.
Salesforce and CNBC-TV18 present Small Business is Big Business, unlocking the SMB opportunity. Salesforce and CNBC-TV18 present Small Business is Big Business, unlocking the SMB opportunity.
Welcome back. You're watching our special show, Small Business is Big Business, and we're in conversation with Rashid, Naganand, Sanjay, and Sanket. Let's continue this conversation. Sanjay, let me come back to you on that note. There are lots of various kinds of research that a company has to do before they can bring a product to the market, whether it is market research, competitor research, customer or marketing research, all of it. How does this all come together?
So, especially with software products, which I believe is one of the large focus areas here, I think nowadays, it's becoming more and more easy, given a lot of this is going to be done on cloud platforms. such as Salesforce's platform or several others that are there, that customers actually, the easiest way to do your research is by actually building a little bit and testing it with customers, right? So there are tools that let you give a really high quality live experience or a pseudo live experience to the customer, perhaps with some dummy data at the back end. So in the past, certainly market research and interviews and things like that played a very, very big role. But nowadays, we're finding it's just becoming easier and easier. And as Sanket mentioned earlier, there are a number of low code or no code platforms that are there for people to test things out. So the goal will be actually to give the customer an experience, because anything experiential and as the young lady earlier talked about education as well, right? Anything experiential is valued a lot more. And sometimes you'll have customers say, well, I don't really have this problem. But when you show them a prototype of something or a mock-up, they look at it and say, wow, yeah, I really do need this, right? So my strong advice to entrepreneurs and startups is really focus on building a nice polished experience. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to be comprehensive, but that's the best way to do your research, because there is no substitute for actual customer experience of the product. But I really urge entrepreneurs to laser focus on the one thing that is a pain point for the customer. And it's also important to not try to be everything to everybody, right? The fewer, the more sharp and narrow the definition of who the customer is and what problem you're solving for them, the more likely you are going to be successful in the long run.
Rashid, when organizations are trying to market their brand, how do you really determine what the right approach is? What are some of the key factors that you should keep in mind?
Yeah, so I think for me, one of the biggest things, or the way I think about brand building is what is the core outcome, right? Why do we need to build brands in first place? And for me, I think it's very straightforward. I think the whole idea is to build resonance with the right stakeholders at the right time, right? So for me, the litmus test of any brand, and I think people should essentially follow that, is when I think of a problem, can I associate a particular product or a company with it, right? So just to give an example, when I think of CRM, I think of Salesforce, right? Let's say if I want to manage my customer records, if I want to manage my relationship with my customers, I go to Salesforce, right? If I want to connect with my friends, WhatsApp comes to my mind. If I want to send an email, Gmail comes to my mind, right? So I think as founders and operators build companies and build brands, a lot of time and effort should be just spent on segmentation, right? On who's the right stakeholder and what is like the key pain area they're trying to solve, right? And as we discussed on the panel, that it has to be very pinpointed. We can't be very broad, right? Startups have very limited time, very limited money, and if you try to be everything for everyone, I think that's where a lot of things go wrong. I think that pinpointed focus, has to be there even when it comes to just brand building, right? And some of the world's best brands, I feel, are not known to a lot of people, right? And that's what I feel is good about them.
Nagan, and let me bring you in again. How can startups innovate at a more or at a greatly increased pace, if I may, of change, and plan for a future where that pace could be even faster?
See, I would like to temper that down, because startups are constantly innovating, right? The other name of startup for innovation, because they're already trying to bring something to the market and trying to get into the customer space. So I think in the initial stages, I would say, you should be more ready to pivot than as opposed to innovate. And I know they could be synonyms in this case. But I know it is very important to listen to your customers, get something out there first, see how people are using it, see what feedback you get, see what other problems they may have. Are you solving the right problem? I think, in that case, if you don't get it, then you have to pivot. But, if you get that right, then I think the focus should be more on scale till you hit a particular point, right? Because otherwise, if you don't hit a particular run rate of revenue, then it becomes very hard to innovate and go to something very different. So I know in my own mind, hence I would say, till you get to product market fit, you be ready to pivot, and pivoting might require innovation. But once you get the product market fit, you got to get some traction, and once you get that traction and you start to scale, and then you start looking for adjacencies or other things you can do for your customers, at that time you can start innovating again. So I would say you have to follow a stepwise process, but make sure that for you to go forward, you do get to a particular good run rate before you start really looking at other ways of innovating, or moving into adjacencies or solving other problems.
Okay, Sankeet, in today's, fast-changing consumer behavior, so to speak, where the expectation of quality, of speed, of customization, it's just all increasing, right? It's not coming down. How should startups engage customers when these are the expectations and they're evolving in new ways every day?
First of all, what customers want should not be news to any company. Despite the rapidly changing landscape and technology, customer centricity should be the key value of any company. Any and all products and features should be created to answer a simple question: will this delight my customers? This brings to light a key element that is often missing in startups. And I'm stereotyping, so a lot of the new age startups actually focus on this, but this is product management. Rather than jumping into creating fancy new features using the latest technologies, the company needs to really know their customers. So it's kind of like a step before what was being talked about just now by Sanjay and Naga about the agile mode of development post getting started. So who are your customers? What would they like? How do you attract them? And once there's an understanding of customer needs, there has to be a decision-making process that's used to figure out what to work on. So the first part of that is figure out the pain points of your customers. What are the various things they're experiencing that's an impediment to their progress, right? So that's your set of almost like your problem space. The other part is take a look at your company and see what your company is able to address. What's the core competencies of your company? And finally, find the intersection of these and say, which of these pain points can I address with my core competencies so that I gain a competitive advantage, right? So at this intersection of these three things comes what you need to focus on, right? And that allows you to have a clear focus on what the customers need. Now, as far as, with customers changing demands, if you are focusing on the customer, those won't be a surprise to you. And as long as you're addressing the pain points and do them well, I think your business will do really, really well. What we have done at Salesforce is we've also started a program, which is the Salesforce Startup Program, that engages with the startups, in various areas, right? And to help them out with these kind of areas to guide on, how to do sales, how do you connect with the customers, what platforms do you build on, and once you've built, how do you get to market? If you're an enterprise B2B app, what's a good marketplace for you to have? In case you're looking for ideas and you're trying to figure out what are the key technology gaps that exist in the market. We have an amazing database from our customer base as to what are the interesting areas for startups to get into. And of course, when you're looking for funds, who do you go to? How do you do it? Salesforce itself has an amazing venture fund, and there are many people in the industry, two of them are present here, who invest and are amazing guides for startups.
All right. On that note, we have to wrap up this special show. All of you, Rashid, Naganand, Sanjay, and Sankeet, thank you so much for taking time out and speaking with us. On that note, it's a goodbye from all of us. Stay safe.
Salesforce and CNBC-TV18 present Small Business is Big Business, unlocking the SMB opportunity. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.